everybody and welcome back to my tiny kitchen. My name is Georgie, and for those of you who don't know me, I live in a tiny house on wheels and travel New Zealand full time with my husband and our 2 children. We are currently at COVID-19 alert level 3 here in New Zealand, and for the entirety of COVID-19 alert level 4 we had our tiny house parked up in complete isolation in the New Zealand bush. Before the lockdown began, we went into Taupo and did a huge grocery shop to stock up on all the things we would need throughout the lockdown. We weren't going to be anywhere near a supermarket, so it made the most amount of sense for us to do this large shop. During the lockdown, my baking had to consist of ingredients that had a long shelf life, ingredients that happened to be in stock that day amid rampant nationwide panic buying, and it could not consist of any flour. The meagre amount of flour that I had managed to store in the build up to the lockdown was set aside strictly for the making of bread. There was no flour left over for the making of luxuries like birthday cake. My husband's birthday did pass during level 4 lockdown, and I'm just not the sort of person that can let a birthday pass without something to mark it. My husband probably wouldn't have minded, but I couldn't let it go. I couldn't get him a gift, obviously, because the shops were closed. He couldn't even get a phone call from family members because where we were parked we had no cell phone reception. I couldn't give him a birthday sleep in because our tiny house is 15 square metres and we have 2 children making noise. I didn't even have milk for the poor man's coffee, and I just thought to myself, flour or no flour, we shall have cake. And this is the cake I managed to make him. It is the perfect recipe to have on standby. It's great for when you've got a bit of a cake emergency, you've got somebody coming over unexpectedly, perhaps it's the day before grocery day, you've not got much going on in the cupboard. It only takes 2 ingredients, and both of those ingredients have a long shelf life, and I've never heard of anybody having trouble getting them, even amid the food shortages that we're still having here in New Zealand. So without much further ado, we're just going to jump straight into it, and I really hope you like it. These are our 2 ingredients. We need 300 grams of dark cooking chocolate and 4 size 7 eggs that have been separated. Because we only use 2 ingredients in this recipe, it is a good idea to buy the best quality chocolate you can afford. This is the brand I usually buy, and I'm alarmed to see that they've dropped their cocoa solids to 10%. If you thought I wasn't going to notice Pam's, you were wrong. To begin, we put our chocolate chips in our bowl and microwave for 30-second bursts until melted. Now we need to whip our egg whites to soft peaks. If you are lucky enough to have egg beaters, feel free to use them. I don't have room for egg beaters in my tiny house, so I'm using a good old-fashioned balloon whisk. Now we bring back our melted chocolate that has been allowed to cool. This is important because we're going to add our egg yolks into this, and if it's too hot, the egg yolks are just going to cook. Now we need to incorporate our whipped egg whites. Remember, this is the only thing giving this cake any sort of lift, so it's important to use a very gentle hand. My poor whisk wasn't quite up to the job today. It was quite cold and the chocolate began to get very hard, so I'm swapping out for a rubber spatula. I like to add my egg whites in 3 lots and fold them in very gently in between additions. For the last addition of egg whites, I am going to go back to using my balloon whisk. As you can see, it makes quick work of incorporating those egg whites very lightly. If you have the option, a balloon whisk is definitely the way to go, because if you knock out that air, there's nothing giving your cake lift. Now here we come with our prepared cake tin. Mine has been lightly greased with oil. I use silicone. I know a lot of people don't like silicone, but in a tiny house, they're lightweight and they're flexible for squashing into small areas. And here it is out of the oven. When it first comes out, the top is going to look a little puffy and then it is going to collapse. This is normal, don't panic. Allow to cool in the tin for 10 minutes before turning out onto a cooling rack. Then allow to cool for a further 10 to 20 minutes before flipping onto a plate. I like to give a quick dusting of icing sugar because it covers a multitude of sins on the top of that cake and gives it a nice polished look, even if the top is a little sunken and weird. And there it is, our 2-ingredient chocolate cake. We're just going to cut a piece and see what it looks like on the inside. It does have a very dense and fudgy texture, but it's also very moist and chocolatey. It's more like a brownie than a cake, but for 2 ingredients, who's complaining? Today we enjoyed ours with raspberry sauce and whipped cream on the top. When we were in the bush for Chevelle's birthday, we weren't quite so lucky. Let us know how you enjoy yours in the comments section below. If you liked, give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, consider subscribing. Goodbye and take care till next time.